And just like that, the Thursday show began. Welcome in on this Thursday. Do you know what day it is? Yeah. Happy official opening day of Major League Baseball season today. Happy opening day, baseball fans. Sing along. All right. Yes, sir. Put it on a tee and let's play ball. And I agree with something. I agree with something Beaver said to me earlier. He said the official opening day, not this bullcorn, and to quote him, where 8 days ago only the Dodgers and the Cubs played, and now that's like everybody else. He says, I want one opening day. One. Yeah, well, it's this one. Get on in here and be a part of the show today. Now, that ain't the only sports happening today on Thursday. Of course, you've got Sweet 16 is going to kick it back up today. Both State and Ole Miss, their baseball series for the weekend, are going to begin today. Yeah. Comment on the live stream. Hey to you if you're on X, formerly Twitter, or if you're on Facebook or on YouTube. However you're tuning in. Howdy ho, neighbors. Get on in here. Drop a comment, post it. I'll be able to see it. Also on the on the Country Pleasing text line at 885-3776. Big finish. Here we go. 885-3776. That's the number to text the show. That'll get you in here. You can also call me on the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. Number to call, 897-1059. That's a 601 number, 897-1059. I'm going to need a little story time from y'all today. I want to know who's your favorite Major League team? Why? I want to know why you root for the team you root for. It can be simple, it can be complicated, but I want to know why. I want to know experiences too. When's the first Major League game you ever went to? Do you remember it? I'm going to need your stories today. Get them in here. Douglas actually commented on X to a post I had earlier. It was a link to a Braves and Expos game from 1986. A game in which Bob Horner, the first baseman and the captain for the Braves, hit 4 home runs in one game, and the Braves lost. Like 14-11 or something like that. And Douglas commented, he said, first real-life Major League Baseball game I ever saw was at Busch Stadium while visiting cousins who lived in St. Louis. Braves Cardinals. Horner was hitting home runs during batting practice. He said, I was so excited to see the Braves play. Cardinals won the game 14-0 in a complete game by 𝐌𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢. There's a name from the past for sure. 𝐌𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐢. Yeah, I'm going to need more of that from you here today. So get them in here. Like I said, you can comment on the live stream. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, hey to you. Just pop a comment in there. We can put it up on the screen, make you a part of the show that way. And it's the same as sitting down at the table and plopping down here and joining our conversation. We do have headlines coming up. First, let's see how Beeve's doing today on this bright, sunny, warm Thursday. Hey, Beeve.
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
Happy opening day to you, Cubs fan.
You as well.
So, you became a Cubs fan when and why?
So, let's see. 1993, spring 1993, and it was mainly because back then, we had 2 teams, two channels. The Braves on TBS.
Yeah.
We had the Cubs on WGN, and choose your character. And I don't know. Like when I was watching, Mark Grace was one of the first players I ever saw. And then I quickly, learned the history of the Cubs, the lovable losers, and that sucked me in. So I remained a Cubs fan, pretty hardcore up until really a couple years after they won the World Series.
Okay.
I still support them, but I'm not the massive fan I used to be because they did the whole thing. Hey, we finally won this World Series. Let's dismantle it all. And I hated them for it. Mm-hmm. So there's that. I still like them. I still prefer them. If I'm going to root for a baseball team, it's still the Cubs. There's a Chicago Cubs WWE championship belt.
Is it really?
That they have the nerve, WWE themselves, they have the nerve to charge $550 for it. But I'm seeing a lot of them on eBay now for $140, which is still silly for a championship belt.
Yeah.
But I'm really thinking about it. 'Cause it's a $400 savings.
What was your reaction back in the day when the Bartman situation happened?
I literally shed tears that night.
So you were one of the ones who was mad at Bartman.
Yeah.
You wanted him run out of town?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. All right, so I want to test my knowledge. I won't get them all, but I'm going to rattle off some of the 1993 Cubs for you. You ready? So you said one name, Mark Grace over there at first base. Second baseman, Ryne Sandberg.
Rhino.
Yep. One of the greatest second basemen ever and one of the most underrated major league players ever in terms of how people remember. Ryne Sandberg was outstanding. Mark Grace at first, Ryne Sandberg at second. Sean Dunston, your shortstop for the early 90s Cubs, Beaver, who had an absolute cannon for a right arm. I would almost be willing to bet that there's some technology out there somewhere that could look at old video clips and determine how many miles per hour somebody was throwing a baseball. I don't think any shortstop who's ever played the game threw the ball at more miles per hour from shortstop to first base than Sean Dunston did when he was playing in the infield for the Cubs. And you had, you remember you had Sammy Sosa starting in the outfield. Because you're only talking about 5 years ahead of he and the McGuire home run chase in 98. That was an exciting. They didn't win the World Series, but that was like almost a heyday for the Cubs. Well, I'll take your stories. Today on the official opening day for Major League Baseball. You know what? Okay, let's do this. So Denzel and Nick and everybody on the text line, I'm coming to you. And Hail State fan, others on the live stream coming to you. But let's go headlines first to start the show.
Evening.
Here we go.
I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. The Mortgage Man Group. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com. Anything mortgage related, refinancing, and all things mortgage. That's where you go. Trust me. Yeah. All right. So headline one, it is opening day. Major League Baseball. Yankees open up at Yankee Stadium, 2 o'clock. I think that's a central time, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the first one that's going to throw out first pitch today is Brewers at Yankees, Yankee Stadium, 2 p.m. At about the time this show goes off the air. Braves are in San Diego, out at Petco. Sale, your opening day starter, the big lefty for Atlanta. And that's a 3 p.m. or 3:10 first pitch. Braves on the road at Padres to open it up. Others you want to know? Just ask me. Just ask me later. Sorry. I'm a terrible host. Sweet 16 basketball. 4 games, all tonight. Four games, 3 SEC teams in them. First up at 6 on CBS, it's Bama and BYU. Then at 6:30 on TBS. It's appropriate for opening day of baseball, isn't it? On TBS, Florida and Maryland. At 8:30 on CBS, you've got Duke and Arizona. And then late tonight, 9 o'clock on TBS, you get Arkansas and Texas Tech. So 4 Sweet 16 games that are going to happen. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this is also going to be the first day of the weekend series for both State and Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is at home with Florida, and State's on the road at LSU. Those are, as I'm seeing it, slated to be 8 p.m. starts. So State at LSU tonight, 8 p.m., and Florida at Ole Miss tonight, 8 p.m. State switched up its pitching rotation for the weekend because of the Thursday, Friday, Saturday deal, opposed to the normal Friday through Sunday. So Pico Khan's going to stick with his normal routine and throw on a Friday, so that'll be game 2 tonight. Evan Sierra, Starkville kid, is going to get the start on the mound for State. I did see that. And those are your headlines, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. Look them up online. Anything mortgage related, new house, new mortgage, refinancing, whatever, right there at mortgagemanms.com. White Denzel on the, okay, that's 8 Eastern. Thank you, boys. Appreciate that. I don't know who you are. I've got an unnamed texter. That makes sense because that's D1 Baseball at D1Baseball.com. I think they list everything as Eastern time. Thank you for catching that. So that would mean State and Ole Miss play baseball at 7 tonight, not 8. 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Thank you. Appreciate that. Denzel texted me. He said, with today being opening day for Major League Baseball, I have one big wish. I need the Rays and the A's to make the postseason. Reason being, both are having to play in minor league parks this year. He said, I so want casual baseball fans to tune into the playoffs and see an MLB playoff game having to be played in a minor league park. He says, your league is a joke, Rob Manfred. Also, go Red Sox. He's a fan thanks to Jonathan Papelbon. And the first Major League Baseball game that White Denzel went to was in 1996, Braves and Giants. And a boy. Braves, Giants. Red Sox fan because of Paps. Listen. You know, poor leadership. Don't get me started. Poor leadership. The two biggest businesses with the worst leadership in the last decade to a decade and a half are number 1, the NCAA, and number 2, Major League Baseball. I mean, that's it. Those are the only 2 answers. If that were posed as a question, they're the worst. Now, hey, regarding the distribution, though, let me tell you this, Denzel. I'm surprised you're not a Braves fan. My buddy Joe, shout out, tip of the cap. You know who you are in the Madison area. Hail State. My buddy Joe tipped me off to this, and I am giving it a try. He said that according to everything he had read, all the research that he had done, you can watch all the Atlanta Braves baseball games this year by having a subscription to FanDuel. Now, I don't know the details of how this Bally Sports became FanDuel and all that kind of stuff. But that's the deal. you can sign up, and there's a 7-day free trial on the front end of this having a FanDuel account. Like ultimately it would cost you like $20 a month, or you could pay $100 for the whole baseball season. Have a FanDuel account, and therefore on your TV and on your devices, you can, when any Braves game is happening, you can hit play and watch it if you have this account. Yeah, you got to pay for it. Yeah, I screamed and yelled over the last couple of years that on principle, I refuse to go pay more than what I was paying for YouTube TV. The fact that it's such a big distributor, yet baseball hasn't figured out a way to get me the games. I was mad at them. But there's two things about it. First, it's the 7-day free trial. So I purposely, he told me about this either yesterday or the day before. So sometime prior to today, he told me about it. FanDuel, have an account, watch it all the time, all the Braves games, Matt. He said, have you heard about this? I'm like, no. Okay, there's a 7-day free trial. So I purposely waited to today, opening day, to do it. So I got 7 days to see if this works. Figure out if I like it, want to keep it. And then if I do, they'll start charging my card after that, or my PayPal account. So I got a chance here for 7 days to make a decision. If this is not going to be as smooth as it needs to be, I'll cancel it in a heartbeat and not pay a dime. That's what 7-day free trials are for. The trial. Look at the word, trial. You're on trial. I'm the judge. I'll decide between now and 7 days I'm keeping you or not. But the other thing is this. Goes back to a little bit of something I said yesterday. I'm done with the acronym. Done with it. Which, once I've made this decision, the worldwide acronym, that means there's a lot of college sporting events I simply will not watch. I will only listen to them on the radio. I'm about to be, Matt, I got my hand up right here, Matt, this guy, me. I'm about to be the biggest fan of Mississippi State sports on the radio, that there is. Because if those games are on, being broadcast on the acronym, I will not watch it. Period. Don't care what the consequences are. Done with them. So I will either see Mississippi State sporting events in person, or I will listen to Neil Price. That's it. So for that reason, the money I'm about to save for unsubscribing to the worldwide acronym, losers, the money I'm about to save there will go directly towards this subscription to watch every Atlanta Braves baseball game and reignite, reinvigorate, reinvest, recommit my fandom for Atlanta Braves professional baseball. Dadgummit. Come on!
Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves.
Well, not really.
America's team.
Yeah!
Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood age for that distinctive.
All right, this is from back in the 80s, y'all. It's an old retro thing. Don't be confused.
For you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows.
And
by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
Hey, listen. I played this one time on this show. And as soon as I hit play on it, it happened to coincide. I mean, like, it synced up perfectly with the moment that my mother-in-law in her car in Vicksburg turned on the radio to listen to this show. So she turns it on to hear Matt on the show. Problem is, I hit the button, and the only thing she heard was this.
Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves.
And she got right there and turned it off. Later that afternoon, true story, they're on the phone, and Annabeth was telling her mother, my mother-in-law, something that I had said or something that we had talked about. She said, well, I tried to listen to the show, but I turned it on. There wasn't nothing on but Braves, the Braves game. And we had to explain, no, that was Matt goofing off, hitting sound buttons, which is a prime example of why Beaver hates them. It's just one of the many reasons Beaver hates for me to hit the buttons on this thing. It confuses people. So, yeah, so there we are. Now, listen, let me cue something up for you. Today, opening day of Major League Baseball season 2025. I have text messages from Nick, PT for MSU, Kyle, Jason, Bulldog Blitz, more from Denzel. I got comments on the live stream over on Facebook from Gene and Russ, and I got comments on the YouTube live stream, Caleb, Sven, Hail State fan. I'm coming to all of that next. We're going to cue it up because I posed 2 questions. 1, which team are you a fan of and why? When does it go back to why are you a fan of them? And 2, what's the first Major League Baseball game you ever attended? I'd love to know that. We'll get into that some and kind of celebrate baseball today on the opening day. And I do have some audio that I want to share with you. Now, I'm not going to go to the links that we've done in the past because then we'd be doing the same show over again, but I got some stuff I want to share from you. That'll, I don't know, put us in the right mood. A little sunshine, a little warm temps, a little baseball flying around the yard. Let's go. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi,
Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with.
Hear about them all and get to talk about it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. Baseball on the brain today. I'm excited, and this is absolutely possible that I'm like a little kid who gets all excited about something and gets all into something, and then give it a couple of weeks and you've already phased on to something else, right? Like the cover comes off the swimming pool, you get it clean, boy, you cannot wait. You swim your little heart out for 2 weeks, and then after that, you never even get back in there the rest of the summer. Like, I understand that's possible, but I feel because of different circumstances all adding up, I feel like this is maybe the year where I have a way and a reason and a who, what, when, and how, and about an extra $10 a month, because I promise you I ain't got much more than that. Maybe an extra $10 a month to get back into being a Braves fan on a regular basis. I think maybe that's it. All right. Hail State fan on the YouTube live stream said, lifelong Astros fan, 12 years old in 1978. I stayed the summer in Houston with my sister, and they took me to several Astros games at the old Astrodome. Now that is cool. That's going way back. Hey, that means you were in conflict the day that Will Clark, Hail State, got called up. And in his first major league game, his first major league at bat, he's at the plate against Nolan Ryan and your Astros. Now that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat right there, Hail State fan. Nick texts the show. He says, OG Dodgers fan, Matt. I still have a signed picture of Tommy Lasorda and Steve Sachs from 1988. Go ahead and give Shohei the MVP, he says.
Nick.
Come on, man.
Of course, Nick would be. The Dodgers, are you with me, Matt? The Dodgers are the new Yankees.
Hate them.
The new evil empire.
Get them out of here. Sick of them. Beaver, I will go this far. Are you ready? Brace yourself. Every time the Dodgers lose is a good day. Every time the Dodgers lose. Every time it rains at Dodger Stadium and rains them out, which is very seldom. Oh, we ought to celebrate it. I can't stand the Dodgers. I'm an OG Dodger hater, Nick. Hey, Beaver, let me just go ahead and tell you. First Braves game I ever went to, they were playing the Dodgers and they lost. What was that guy's name? Marshall? Mike Marshall? I think he hit a home run and beat him. Had a home run in the 8th inning to put him ahead by 2 runs and beat him. First game I ever went to. I hate the Dodgers. Get out of here, Nick. Now, Shohei is incredible. Absolutely phenomenal. He is. PT for MSU Texas show. Only Major League Baseball games I've ever been to were Braves games back in the early 90s at the old Fulton County Stadium. Saw Larry Walker back then when he played for the Expos. How about that, before he winds up in Colorado? Hitting home runs in that high altitude. That's really cool. Kyle texts the show, changing the subject. He said, in your opinion, do you think they're going to fire Lamonis if you get swept this weekend by LSU? No, I don't. I don't think that. They can get swept, and he will not get fired. That's what I think. Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona. He says, what did I miss? You didn't miss much. We're just queuing up. Maybe it even ought to be a national holiday, the opening day of Major League Baseball. Today's the real deal opening day. Not that silly mess last week with the Dodgers and Cubs. But, yeah, today's the real opening day. That's what we're talking about. White Denzel said, I got my essentials for the weekend, Matt, and it's like 2 cases of beer and about 8 packages of country-pleasing sausage. My man. Hey, be like me. Listen on the radio, okay? Boycott the acronym. The bogus, biased, stupid, ignoramus acronym. I know you are, but what am I? J-Rock texts the show. He says, first game I ever attended, 1975 Cincinnati Riverfront Stadium, Big Red Machine, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Joe Morgan, Tony Perez. Man, the Big Red Machine. Hail State fan says he remembers when Papelbon fought Bryce Harper in the dugout for not running out of pop fly. And absolutely, and to this day, whenever that's mentioned, you stand up, you tip your cap to a real pro in Jonathan Papelbon. Because Bryce Harper did think he was, at that time, I'm not saying he hadn't improved. Bryce Harper's grown up, but at that time he did think he was too good to run it out. Paps got him. Oh boy, Paps. Russ says, I see FanDuel can stream 2 devices at one time. Hey, old buddy, old pal. How about that? Hey, how you doing? What you need, Russ? Huh? What are you insinuating? That we break the law? Wait a minute. That's not against the law, is it? Okay, you can have my password. You may have my password, sir. And you're right. Caleb says you could always enjoy Ben Ingram on Braves Radio. Ben does a phenomenal job on Braves Radio. I absolutely could do that. Now, Hail State fan, he's with me. He said, I cut my television off last year, and I only listen to MSU radio broadcasts. I get more work done around the house while I listen to our games. Hey, I'm with you. I'm just telling you, if State plays a game that's on like a CBS or somewhere, I'll watch it. If it's on the acronym, I ain't watching it, period. I'm out. And so for me, it's going to be in person or on radio, and I promise you I will get just as much out of listening on the radio, if not more. I promise you I will. So there, I'm going back. I'm going back. Hail State fan also said his first MLB game. So 1974, his father took him to see Hank Aaron and the Braves. Oh my goodness, are you serious? Your first MLB game, you saw Hank Aaron play? It's hard to make me jealous about anything. I'm jealous of that. I wasn't born then. I kind of wish I had been. Blitz says, I saw Ryan pitch. Wait a minute, I got to go back. Because I missed the first one. Blitz said, me and Beeve became Cubs fans the same way. I was a Cubs first, Braves second guy. I always pulled for Bulldogs players' teams. It was a lot of fun when Clark and Palmero played each other in the NLCS. Clark showed out. He says, you don't remember the Eckerd's drugstores? Oh, I do. I think there's a lot of people who don't. Now, his first game was a Braves-Giants game in 87 or 88. He saw the Astros and Giants the same year. This is Bulldog Blitz. He saw Nolan Ryan pitch in the Astros-Giants game. Got to see Dale Murphy in the Braves and Giants game as well. Now, that's cool. Yeah, that's going way back. That's awesome. I got some celebrity text messages coming in. So here you go. First up, Went McGee. Went! The Mortgage Man over at mortgagemanms.com. Baseball. He is a Braves fan. He's been a fan since he was 8 years old, and he credits Dale Murphy with that. So there it is. So he's a Braves guy. Terry Fant, my buddy Terry Fant, the pastor at Hickory Ridge Baptist Church in Florence, Mississippi. He is he's an Atlanta Braves fan. He became a fan there about the time that he started playing Little League Baseball, and he started understanding the game. So this was somewhere around 85, 86, 87, right in there, mid-80s, just before they got good. And how about this? Terry is still waiting to go to his first Major League Baseball game. Hadn't been in one yet. That's cool, isn't it? To get to go to your first Major League game, be old enough to remember it. and in an era when you can take a million pictures like you couldn't do when I went to my first one. My buddy Joe. Joe is responsible for lighting this fire in me because I'm canceling the acronym, and I'm going to use that money to subscribe to FanDuel and watch all the Braves games. I'm going to see, though, the first 7 days, see if it works. He was a Giants fan growing up. And then in high school, he got into the Braves because they were winning. The reason he became a Giants fan was because of Will Clark, and they were watching on an antenna, so they were able to pick up Giants games. They were always on TV. And his first game that he ever attended, 1989 Old Fulton County Stadium, Giants and Braves. It's the year the Giants played in the World Series. Awesome. That's right. That was the earthquake series, right? 89, Giants and A's. You had the earthquake during one of the games. Really cool. More of that coming up. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. You know, when I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up through a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that You know, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and you know, we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
Zone 1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Over to the phone line, the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. No, he gone? Okay, he gone. He gone. Shout out, Hawk. Shout out to Hawk Harrelson. He gone. Cubs fans, you remember Harry Carey? I mean, surely you do. I worry, though, that sometimes you may have a really young person out there who really loves baseball, who nobody has introduced him to people like Harry Carey yet. Great announcer, longtime announcer, started with the Cardinals and switched over to the Cubs. Legendary, impersonated by or imitated by Will Ferrell on Saturday Night Live. The real Harry Carey was a trip, though. Stuff like this calling a game while telling stories like this.
I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has the Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I take it there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. One ball, one strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about our congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul on a play. Why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do?
You know, and it just occurred to me, Beaver, I mean, you're old enough to remember seeing Harry Carey on WGN when you became a Cubs fan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what just occurred to me is how I will like go off on these announcers these days that don't focus on the game. But heck, they were doing it back then too. Maybe it's just it was less often. I don't know. Harry Carey got himself some Cracker Jacks as a kid. There was no prize in it and never forgot it. Celebrity fandom. All right. This is Todd Jordan, former Mississippi State quarterback. He's now the mayor of Tupelo, Mississippi. Number one, he's a Braves fan. He became a Braves fan because of Superstation WTVS right around 1978. And he said the first Major League game he ever went to, however, was the Astros at the Astrodome at about that same time, around 78 or so. Okay, and so Superstation WTVS, and I know this again is waxing nostalgic, but I played that for you earlier, the old retro intro to a Braves game, and listen to the third sponsor that's in there because there's some people talking about it over here on the live
Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
Yeah, Eckerd Drugs. Breck. He's a great radio man. Breck Riley, my man Breck, he commented on YouTube and he said, I remember 2 things about Eckerd Drugstore. Playing around with the blood pressure cuff machine. And then he said, in about 3 aisles of cheap Halloween costumes they had every October.
Oh, okay. Breck, you're the reason we had to get rid of it then. Because you played around on it. I used to work at Eckerd Drugs.
Did you really?
Yeah. So, Breck, you're the reason we had to get rid of our blood pressure machine. It all ties together now.
That's your fault, Breck. You hear that? Beaver, I didn't know you worked at Eckerd Drugs.
September, it wasn't a long career. September 99 to July 2000.
Yeah, okay. Not quite a full year. What did you do there at Eckerd Drugs?
I was the customer service specialist working in the pharmacy.
Okay. Did you have to wear the white coat or no?
Oh, yeah, white smock.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot picture you in that. Was it long sleeves?
No, it was short sleeves.
Okay.
And you had to wear khaki pants.
Beaver. No wonder you lasted less than a year. I cannot picture you having to put on that uniform every day. My sleeveless friend over here had to wear the smock. That is fantastic. More celebrity fandom this time. J-Mac, Jonathan McMillan. He got the fastest kids in Madison County. The fastest family, for that matter. My man. He's also your House of Representatives District 58. He is a Braves fan because they only had 3 channels on TV growing up. They were on it, and I said the Giants were on another. He did see, he went in person and saw Will Clark and Jeff Brantley play. Now, another reason, he says also Ben Ingram, the voice of the Braves now. He's a Madison guy, of course. Mississippi College alum. That's where Jonathan went to school. Of course, he played football there. I didn't realize Ben Ingram is an alum of MC, but now we know. But how about this? When when Jonathan McMillan was playing football at MC, Ben Ingram was calling the MC football games on the radio. How about that? Now that's cool. That is cool. All right, let's see here. And you're right, Nick. He's, all of us that hate the Dodgers, he said it's going to be a lot of bad days for you boys this year. And you're right. They're going to win most of their games. Big Daddy Art, he texted the show. His team is the St. Louis Cardinals. The reason, his grandfather, father, him, and now one of his 5 grandsons are all Cards fans. So it runs in the family. And he took his grandson to a Cardinals day. Opening day, saw the Cardinals beat the Cubs. How about that? Somebody said Bryce Harper is still a smart hothead. Unnamed texter said, Dodgers all the way. When I was a boy in the 70s, I asked my grandfather, why are we Dodgers fans? He said, because of Jackie Robinson, and he paved the way for us. Yeah, I guarantee you there's a lot of folks that they can track their Dodgers fandom back to Jackie Robinson and the Brooklyn Dodgers before they moved out west. Bodine Dog texts the show. He says, Matt, in 1989, I saw Roger Clemens pitch for the Boston Red Sox against the Milwaukee Brewers at Fenway Park. My first MLB game. Love your show. Tell Beaver hello from Bodine. All right, 1 minute for More Bully, who's back on the Divini Equipment phone line. More Bully, what's up?
Matt, I got this in a minute. Trust me.
Okay.
But it's me. It's the MWRE Bully. I have to say that now every time I call because they got a new JOB. It's hard for me to call in now. Right. Yeah. So, listen, my first MLB game was about 1991, I think. You'll have to look me up because it was next to the last year of Fulton County.
Okay.
So I saw the Braves versus Cincinnati, and I saw Smoltz pitch.
So that would have been 94, I believe.
Okay.
Or 95.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
And then I was fortunate enough to have to go to a conference in D.C. the first year that the Nationals were in their new stadium.
Cool.
And I got to go to a Nationals game.
All right. What'd you think of the stadium?
Oh, man, I was down the third base line, and I was looking behind me. There's not a bad seat in that place, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, it reminded me of a bigger Trustmark Park that, you can see the game really well anywhere, it looks like.
Yeah. Okay.
But I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Cool.
So if you ever get to go up there, you need to do it.
All right.
Because it's beautiful.
Will do. I appreciate the phone call. I would love to see it. Thank you. And congrats, MWORE, on the JOB. Wow. Lyle texted the show and said, my dad was at the game that Hank Aaron broke the home run record. Can you imagine being one of the people that was there to witness that in person? I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can actually imagine it. That's really, really neat. All right, hour 1 in the books. More baseball treat for you coming in hour 2 right around the corner. Stick around.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
Treats and more. Whenever and wherever work happens, Easy Cater's here to make the food happen. Order now at EasyCater.com.
Join the Candy Crush All-Stars tournament now.
Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play.
Make it to the live final for your chance to win a share of $1 million. Play Candy Crush now.
Get your game on, go play.
Selected level 5 plus 18 plus. In-game event ends 0300 EDT 27 April. With the in-game event, receive an invite to the live contest in June in California. Requires U.S. travel. For terms and conditions, visit 2.king.com/terms.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. And never give in to a meltdown. You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never let them have too much screen time. And never bribe them for just one more bite. You say you'd never let them out in public without their hair brushed. Never, ever become a minivan mom. And you'd never give them your phone for a quiet dinner.
Calling boss work phone.
So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, no, it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
Back with you. All right, hour 2 of the show off and running. Here we go. You can call, you can text, you can comment on the live stream. However you want to get in. Be great with me. And it's a good way to be a part of the show. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, just type in a comment there, post it. I can see it here on the live stream. We can pop it up on the screen. Yeah, we had celebrity fandom earlier. It was Todd Jordan, former Mississippi State quarterback, now the mayor in Tupelo. Yeah, and Hail State fan said, Todd Jordan, also our punter. Yes, he's like a world-class punter. Punted in the NFL some. He's really good. You can text me on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-3776. That's a 601 number, 885-3776. Earlier, Denzel texted me. He had a buggy full of goodies for the weekend, including about 8 to 10 packages of Country Pleasing sausage in various flavors, which I'm with you. I think you're all set. You are all set. You can call me on the Davini phone. The number to call 897-1059. You can be like more bully and everybody can hear your voice. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Again, 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. Let's see here. Let me get to some of the text from hour 1. We were talking baseball fandom. I had posed a question. Which team are you a fan of? Why, when? Why and when did it all start? What's the first game you ever went to? Somebody sent me a quote from Pete Rose. Opening day is like Christmas, except it's warmer. That's pretty good. Rhino texted the show. He says, I don't remember a time that I wasn't a Braves fan. Literally lifelong. I said my mom and I watched nearly every game growing up, late 80s, early 90s on WTBS. You know, and that is the truth for a lot of us. Television sort of drove us one direction or the other. You know, for me as a kid growing up in Alabama, yeah. Same thing, you know, certainly in the 80s, but in the 90s came around, we started getting more channels. You know, cable package started expanding up to 13, 14, 15 channels. I remember a time in the 90s where like ESPN was like the 14th or 15th channel because it was right at the end. They added it back when it was watchable. But yeah, so, you know, 80s, you'd only have, even late 80s, you might only have 3, 4, 5 channels, really. One of those was WTBS or WGN. So you can watch every Cubs game or every Braves game. And I've talked to other people who were getting channels with antennas high up in trees and up on the roof and on the chimney and everything. And they'd pick up Giants games and other things like that. But that was me growing up in Alabama. We had the Braves on WTBS. We watch every game. And, you know, part of it, the baseball fandom for me, too, I idolized my dad growing up, and he had been a college baseball player. And so as a kid coming up, we still had his stuff laying around the house. He was a catcher at Montevallo, a small school over in Alabama, or Division II school over in Alabama. And so, you know, we still had the catcher's helmet and a catcher's mitts, a couple of those, and wooden bats, which I still have, by the way, wooden bats that he used in college. And all those things I thought were really cool. So I came up wanting to be a baseball kid, playing a lot of baseball and wanting to do all that. And so, you know, sort of naturally became a diehard Braves fan. We're watching them on TV. It seemed like year-round. Used to seem that way anyway. And I had the giant Dale Murphy poster on the door in my room. I'd gotten that as a gift, you know, for a birthday or something when I was young. I don't remember exactly. I think it was the one. Yeah, I think it was the poster where it was like an action shot of Dale Murphy where he's swinging the bat, almost like sort of life size, the size of your door, 6, 7 feet tall. That had something to do with it also. Hey, I pulled this out, though. I mentioned it for you earlier. Coming to your texts and your phone calls, but I mentioned this to you earlier. Do you remember a game, Braves Expos, 1986? Braves and Expos, 1986, in which Bob Horner, the first baseman for the Braves, he was like an Arizona State guy in college, I think. Anyway, Bob Horner hit 4 home runs in one game. Big old rascal. Curly blonde hair flowing out from underneath that old batting helmet. 4 home runs in one game for Bob Horner against the Expos. It was July, middle of the day games, brutally hot. You're listening to back then you're watching it on WTBS and Ernie Johnson, Skip Carey, and then they'd switch it up, and Pete Van Wieren and John Sterling, who's now the Yankees guy, or was forever and ever, they would switch it up, and one would go radio, one would go TV, and then they'd switch it up about halfway through the game. And you could hear the box fan in the broadcast booth at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium just humming in the background of the broadcast throughout. In fact, this is what their broadcast would sound like. This was that day back in 1986 when Bob Horner hit 4 home runs. And you got Ernie Johnson and Skip Carey just having a little conversation leading up to his first home run in that ball game.
Fastball, 0-1.
Who do you like in that U.S.-China basketball game?
I'll take U.S. I'll give you 2 points.
What a pal.
Well, China probably has a height advantage, wouldn't you think?
Spud Webb ought to join that team just to...
Foul away, up this way.
Of course, you never know. The U.S. government may declare that kids who go to college can't participate either.
At this point, is there a deadline on it, on the boxing? Whether they might?
I think it's passed.
Well hit to left. That is back toward that wall. It's out of here, Bob Horner. Number 14 for the captain.
So they were having this whole long conversation, that day about the Goodwill games that were going on and kind of joking around. Like I was telling Beaver earlier, I get all over the case of these announcers now for not focusing on the game, but heck, those guys didn't really focus on it all the time. Of course, back then the Braves weren't any good, and they had to focus on something. So then he hit 2 more throughout the game. I want to say the Expos in that game built something like a 10-2 lead at one point, and the Braves started coming back thanks to Bob Horner's second and third home runs of the game. And he had a fourth at bat. So he was 3 for 3 with 3 home runs in his first 3 at bats. Bob Horner was in the game. His fourth at bat, he popped it up to right field, and that was in it might have been the 7th inning. Yeah, I think it was in the 7th inning. And Pete Van Wieren, one of the other Braves broadcasters, said, but stick around. He still may come back up to bat one more time. Well, sure enough, I think the score was 14-11 at that time. Expos leading in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. He'd already hit 3 home runs, and Bob Horner comes back up to the plate.
It goes 5-4-3, so now there are 2 outs in the inning with the bases empty. But nobody's going anywhere because here comes Bob Horner. 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats. He came up again in the 7th inning and fouled out to first. Only 10 players have ever hit 4 in one game. That's one of baseball's most coveted records. There are 2 outs in the 9th inning. Reardon delivers. There's a fly ball deep left center field. Right looking up. He did it. He did it. Bob Horner has become the 11th player in baseball history to hit 4 homers in one game. It's 11-8. And he'll have to make at least one curtain call here, maybe more than one. He got a breaking ball and becomes the 11th player in Major League history to hit 4 homers in one game. His name is in the record books. Six RBIs on the day for Horner. He now has 17 home runs and 55 RBIs.
And like the very next batter, I think it was a ground ball out, 3rd out of the inning, game over. Braves lose. And after all that, so there was also back then a little focus on the individual because 4 home runs in a losing effort. I don't know. It's just cool to... I used to do it a little too often, but it's cool to now, every now and then, go back and hear those voices again. Ernie Johnson, Skip Carey. The other part of the foursome broadcast crew that they had for the Braves back then, like I said, was that voice you just heard, Pete Van Wieren, and John Sterling, who left in WTBS and went to be the Yankees announcer. And then they would wrap the game up. This is what it would sound like.
Well, it has been quite a day at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, 18,000 plus on hand, and what a game they saw. Montreal winning it, 11 runs, 16 hits, 1 error. The Expos left 10. For Atlanta, 8 runs, 14 hits, 1 error, and the Braves left 6. The winning pitcher is Tim Burke. He's now 6-2. Jeff Reardon gets the save, his 19th. The losing pitcher is Zane Smith. He is 7-9. The story of the game, and unfortunately it takes place in a Braves loss, but Bob Horner becomes just the 11th man in the history of baseball to hit 4 home runs in a single game, and he's now tied for the National League lead with 17. So the Braves now back to just 1 game over 500. We're at the halfway point of the season now. Atlanta 41-40. Coming up next, more Goodwill Games coverage from Madrid, Spain, and from Moscow, and we hope you'll enjoy it on the Superstation. Now, along with Skip Carey, Ernie Johnson, John Sterling, and our entire TBS crew, this is Pete Van Wieren speaking from Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, where your final score today was Montreal 11, Atlanta 8. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, well, I got it wrong. It wasn't 14-11. That was the hits. It was like 15-11. The runs was 11-8. Okay, got it. Country pleasing text line from Paramount Outdoor Living. He says, lifelong Cubs fan and Braves hater. Said it always cracked me up when Harry Carey called Chipper Jones Clipper Jones. Like Beaver, I was a big Mark Grace fan. He never wore batting gloves, unlike the crap these guys strap on now. I know. I was watching a college game the other day, and you got like you're in the batter's box. You got a foot guard, a shin guard, an elbow guard, big, heavy, thick batting gloves, like strapped on both hands. He's wearing batting goggles. I mean, he's like a linebacker up there trying to hit as compared to what those guys used to be like all those years ago. I do remember this. Delta Tide fan said, Matt, you also remember on the days of TBS Superstation, they had Roland Martin and Orlando Wilson's fishing shows every weekend. And TBS did have Bill Dance. And it seems like for a few years, they had the Jimmy Houston show on a weekend also. And, yeah, I sure do remember it. My man, John Bond. The original JB, he says he didn't go to his first MLB game until about 2000. He said he was in Washington, D.C., called Rafael Palmeiro when he was at the Orioles, and he got him 8 tickets right behind home plate. He said the best part, though, is I got to sit next to Lynn, his wife, during the game. And then he said the most interesting part was riding the train to Baltimore. Was it late at night, John? Is that the interesting part we're talking about there? Jason out in Flagstaff says, okay, let me back up. Now, he was talking about what what I vow to do going forward is I will either see the games in person. This is any sport. I will either see the games in person or I will listen to Neil on the radio. That's it. No more acronym for me. The worldwide acronym, I'm out. Jason in Flagstaff said, I've accidentally been doing that for years. Even when I have a game on TV, I got it muted with someone's radio broadcast synced up. He says, it may be a bit homer, and States is the best by far, but it's rare to find a college team whose radio broadcast team isn't several orders better than the acronyms TV announcers. That's kind of how I feel about it too. And I guess I'm really biased for obvious reasons. Then he wanted to say, so I'm not a fan of the team per se, but maybe I should be now that they've drafted our amphibious pitcher, whose name is that I refuse to try to spell, Durangelo Sanger. He says, but I absolutely adore the Seattle Mariners stadium, spectacular views. Yeah. How is Sanger doing so far in spring ball? I didn't keep up that closely. I guess spring ball is over because today's opening day. Adams texted the show. He said he loved Juan Berenguer. All right, hang on. Juan Berenguer. So he pitched for the Braves at one time, but who else did he pitch for? Was it, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Was it the Giants? Who was it that he threw for? Twins. Was Juan Berenguer never with the Giants? You know, he was a big part of the, not rotation, but the bullpen, right? For those Braves teams. Well, he was on the 92 team and the 91 team. Minnesota before that. Yeah, he was with the Giants for 1 year. Tigers, came into the majors late 70s with the Mets. How about that? That's another thing, too. You know, Adams, as a kid, early 90s, we're watching and pulling for the Braves. There's Juan Berenguer. He's a part of their, bullpen. 91, 92. Okay, but it never occurred to me to think, man, this guy I'm watching came up to the majors in 1978. That stuff didn't occur to me back then. I'm watching that. Guys who'd been up since the day I came into the world. Somebody texted in and said, I always remember Bob Horner at third base. Did he play first at some time? No, he was third baseman. What'd I say? First? I meant third. I'm like that comedian, comic Gary Muledeer, and he said, sometimes I just say things. Yeah, he was third baseman. Okay, Will says, what is neater? 4 homers in one game or Fernando Tatis with 2 grand slams in 1 inning? Oh, I mean, come on. Well, neat is a highly subjective word, but if we just said rare, like you could probably even back it up with numbers, wouldn't you say that even though 4 home runs in one game is one of the most rare things that happens, that 2 grand slams in 1 inning is probably the rarest thing that's ever happened, right? It has to have only happened once. Why did somebody send me the number 21? Was that a text for somebody else? What could I have been talking about that would have referenced 21? 21. I don't know. Will, hey, Will, he's on YouTube. He says, Matt, there's a video that you need to watch called How to Score 10 Runs in the First Inning and Lose. It's about a June 8th, 1989 game where the Pirates went up 10 runs in the first inning and lost? Really? I'm going to look that up. By the way, too, I looked up the 1993 Chicago Cubs roster, the year that Beaver kind of latched on and officially became a member of Cubs Nation. And I was right. So on the infield for that 93 Cubs team, you had Mark Grace at first, Ryan Sandberg at second, Sean Dunston, your shortstop. And who was at third? Would it have been Buechele, Steve Buechele at third? Who was their starting catcher from those Cubs teams in the early 90s? Steve Lake, Matt Wahlbeck, or Rick Wilkins? Pitchers, Randy Myers, Mike Morgan, Dan Plesac. Jose Bautista. Paul Ossenmacher, remember him? Didn't that Braves trade him to the Cubs? I remember my dad being tickled when the Braves got rid of him. He may be a nice guy, but he's automatically going to walk too every time they run him out there. It's funny to think about that. That and what was his name? Steve McMurtry. Oh, McMurtry came in. He was like, "I'm out. Stick around."
At Davini, we are your hometown.
Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. country pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com, at a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, country pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down, hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love.
59 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Baseball. Today's opening day, Major League Baseball. What are the games again? Let's see here. So, yeah, I guess every team. Well, that's pretty close to it. I know what Dodgers and Cubs played last week, some one-off. Week 0, we had week 0. Today is actually opening day for everybody. And about a half hour from now, you're going to get first pitch of the first one. Yankees hosting Brewers. Yankee Stadium. Baltimore opens up in Toronto. Division matchup to open the season, Phillies and Nats in Washington. Red Sox Rangers, that's in Texas. This afternoon at 3. Pirates Marlins in Miami. Giants Reds in Cincinnati. Angels White Sox on the west side of Chicago. You get Cleveland in Kansas City. The Royals are an interesting team for state fans. You got a bunch of players on that team. Chris Stratton on the pitching staff. Hunter Renfroe. And Frazier, isn't Frazier, is Adam Frazier with the Royals this year? I was thinking that he was. We got some Astros fans around here. They're opening up this afternoon in Houston, hosting the Mets. Mentioned to you, the Braves open up on the West Coast in San Diego. Twins, Cardinals in St. Louis. Tigers, Dodgers in L.A. Of course, that's a 6 p.m. primetime on ESPN game. Of course. Well, I tell you what, the acronym. They even make poor decisions. But anyway, I digress. Late tonight, out in Arizona, it's Diamondbacks hosting the Cubs. That's a 9 o'clock first pitch. And then way up the northwest of that beautiful ballpark that Jason was talking about, the Mariners are going to host the A's. So are the A's, are they what? The Las Vegas A's? What are they? I mean, I guess they are, right? That's what they are this year. How can I learn more about that? Opening day of Major League Baseball. What about on this day in history in baseball? On this day, March the 27th, 1886, The Cincinnati Red Stockings announced that the American Association pennant they won in 1882 is going to be flown at home games for luck. On this day in 1889, the final game of the All-American All-Stars Tour was played in Dublin, Ireland. The group sails for America the next day after playing 28 games overseas. Bet you never heard of that. On this day in 1897, Cleveland Spiders president. Hey, and for the record, when the Cleveland Indians changed their name to the Cleveland Guardians, they'd have been better off just going back to the Cleveland Spiders than this Guardians crap. Cleveland Spiders president Frank DeHaze Robinson proposed that National League clubs chip in to pay the salary of New York Giants stellar pitcher Amos Russi, who was refusing to play due to a contract dispute. So Robinson, the Cleveland president, and other NL officials were trying to avoid lawsuits and all this. He was seeking free agency. So they all pitched in, made a $3,000 payment so the guy would get out there and play so they could sell some more tickets. It's funny. It was $3,000. That's what it was over back in 1897. What does inflation say about that? On this day in 1938, White Sox shortstop Luke Appling, sliding into second base in an exhibition game against the Cubs, broke his right leg in two places, had to miss half the season, came back on July the 8th. Is Luke Appling a Hall of Famer? I believe he is. Was it Blind Squirrel? He agrees with me. Blind Squirrel says, amen, Matt. The name Guardians is comical at best. I mean, isn't it comical? Just, what was your contest? Let's choose the worst name we can come up with? Goodness. In 1961, on this day, March the 27th, in a spring training game, tells you a little bit about how the season is expanded, Cardinals pitcher Larry Jackson suffered a broken jaw when hit by a fragment of Dodgers Duke Snider's broken bat. He missed 4 weeks. Spring training game. Now, what does this say? This is going to take some thinking here to understand all this. So apparently there was a big blockbuster deal back in 1973 on this day. March 27, 1973, veteran pitcher Jim Perry of the Minnesota Twins became the first player in Major League Baseball to approve of being traded under the new, quote, 10-5 rule. The Twins sent him to the Tigers for a player and cash. Now, the guy, Jim Perry, the pitcher that the Twins sent to Detroit, had won 24 games a few years earlier in 1970. In that particular year, he won 14 games for the Tigers. The Braves that same day released former 30-game winner Denny McLain. That ended his career at age 28. The year before, the Braves had gotten McLain from the A's in a straight-up swap for first baseman Orlando Cepeda. Now, McLain the reason they wanted him, he had been really good early 20s. He had won the American League Cy Young in 1968 and 1969. And then, as you see so often, environment changes, team changes, location changes, salary changes, and somebody just goes, poof, and they disappear. And that's kind of what happened. This was a big one on this day, March the 27th, 1986. Major League Baseball's Rules Committee voted to change the designated hitter rule for the World Series, allowing a DH to be used in all the games played in the home ballpark of the American League team in the World Series, but not in the National League's park. And a lot of people didn't know this, but 10 years earlier, since 1976, they had used a DH in all of the games in even years. So like 76, 78, 80, 82, 84, that every even year, they used DH in all the games. It changed it up in 86 and said, if you're playing a World Series game in the ballpark of the American League team, you can use the DH. But National League Park, no. It was weird. You know, it was neat back then. I liked it. And then this was really the biggie, because this got a story that's still out there today. We just lost him this past year, but it always has been and still is a thing. This was the day, March the 27th, 1989, when Sports Illustrated published a story about Cincinnati Reds manager Pete Rose and his gambling activities. That was on this day, 1989. You know, Rose eventually got the lifetime ban, agreed to it from Major League Baseball as part of that agreement. The commissioner back then was Bart Giamatti. But this was the day in 89 they came out with the story, and everybody's like, it's interesting how it's changed, right? When it came out in the story, the deal was everybody read it physically in the magazine. There was no such thing as reading it online. There was no online. You either had the magazine or somebody told you about it. All right. A little bit of time left with you. When we come back, I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around. Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, is it? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to
1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt, in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Yeah, Sven commented regarding they're not the Cleveland Indians anymore, they're the Cleveland Guardians. But Sven said Cleveland are the Indians, nothing more or less. It is written in the Major League books and movies. Yeah, that's right, sort of. Like it's permanent, right? Because the Major League movies they're permanent.
Now what?
Hey, hit me.
So all this talk of Cleveland, it's got me thinking. Because earlier, people were talking about the games they've been to and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I've only been to 2 Major League games in my life. And what sticks out more than the 2 I've been to is the one I didn't get to go to.
What's that?
Still to this day, it sticks in my craw. Summer of '93, me and Big L, we went to Lorain, Ohio. We have family that lived there. It's just outside Cleveland. And just so happened that the week we were there, Nolan Ryan, in his final season, he was with the Rangers in '93, he was coming to town. My dad and uncle said they decided, we don't want to go to that one because it's going to be too crowded and traffic's going to be horrible.
Okay.
So I was still, all these years later, 93, was that 32 years later? Uh-huh. I'm still salty about this. I was gypped out of seeing Nolan Ryan in his final season. And I had to settle for 2 days later, the Blue Jays came to town, which that was the year the Blue Jays won the World Series. So I had to watch the terrible Indians. Ricky Henderson was on that team. But still, I'm still not pleased about this.
You can't let it go?
No.
Just barely missed out on seeing Nolan. I mean, Nolan Ryan, greatest of all time. Is he the GOAT pitcher?
I think so.
Yeah, me too. You know, Beav, I posted that video earlier of that 1986 Braves game in which Bob Horner hit 4 home runs in one game. Matt commented on X and said that he was at the game the day before. He missed it by one day. He goes, we spent the night, planned on going that day too, but at the last minute, my grandfather changed the plans and drove us home. For the rest of his life, I often brought up that we missed that game just to give him a hard time. Like, what led to that, I wonder. Yeah, we got to go. 4 home runs later. Well, sometimes that's the way it is. I think at this point, Beaver, 32 years later, you got to get that out of your system somehow. I don't know what it is, but
statute of limitation.
You're right. Hey, speaking of things in your system, here you go, Beaver. 2025 Major League Baseball opening day, that's today. The 10 wildest new food items at ballparks around the league. Are you ready?
Yes.
Number 10, Filthy Mac fries at an Arizona Diamondbacks game. Random ingredients on Cajun fries, and there have been worse ideas. White cheddar, mac and cheese, pork belly bacon, and crispy onions. Number 9, Polish cannonballs at a Pirates game. It's an homage to its Polish Hill community. The Pirates are offering some unique local flair at PNC Park. Fried balls full of egg noodles, kielbasa, cabbage, bacon, and cheddar cheese. Number 8, the Warehouse Burger at an Orioles game. 2 beef patties, queso, and fried onions, all in one big burger. Number 7, the Celebration Cake Milkshake at a White Sox game. Celebrating their 125th anniversary this year at a White Sox. Birthday cake and ice cream, blended, served in a cup with cake chunks and a cookie. Number 6, the Daddy Mac Dog at a Houston Astros game. The Daddy Mac Dog, foot-long ballpark dog, topped with all of these different things at a barbecue place. Brisket, mac and cheese, fried pickles, all on one hot dog. The Royals games, number 5, blue velvet whoopie pies at a Royals game. A whoopie pie is a classic treat. I mean, it just looks to me kind of like a big cookie, like an oatmeal cream pie with stuff in the middle, but it's blue. Number 4, the helmet tiramisu at a Yankees game. You can get a helmet tiramisu. Little commemorative helmet upside down, but instead of ice cream in there, it's tiramisu, whatever the heck that is. I kind of know, but I kind of don't. Number 3, s'mores quesadillas, Beaver, at a Phillies game. S'mores quesadillas at a Phillies game. Number 2, it's called the What Up Corn Dog at a Mariners game in Seattle. Corn dog that is like Mariners green. Different color, honey battered and covered in spicy, crunchy coating. All right, and then number 1 here, cotton candy fries at a Blue Jays game. Cotton candy fries at a Blue Jays game. It combines a pair of Stadium Classics, cover them in blue sauce. What is that you sent me, Beaver?
I sent you, that is the Filthy Mac fries. That's actually them being made.
Okay, and that's
so you can look at the process.
And this was on the list that we had here. Oh my goodness. Look at that. This is the Filthy Mac fries at a where? At a Diamondbacks game in Arizona? Yes. Look at that. So y'all, okay, like if you go to the Mexican restaurant, you get a K5. Raise your hand. We all know what a K5 is, right? And it comes in that little round tinfoil container with the paper lid. They're taking one of those containers, okay, they're squirting some kind of sauce all in the bottom of it. They throw these fries in there. Then, on top of that, fries go in, mac and cheese all over the top of the fries, 2 big hamburger patties with cheese on it, pickles all over the top of that, and then squirt some more of that sauce all over it. How are you supposed to eat that? I'd try it, Beaver.
Oh, yes, big time. Hey. I don't know why that was number 10. I'd put that up at the top.
Hey, and you know what? You could tell by looking at those hamburger patties that they're good, can't you?
Yeah.
The way they cooked them. You know what I don't want, Beav? I say I don't want. I'll eat it. I'm not as fond of the big, thick hamburger patties that, have been cooked to where it's like it's pink in the middle or more pink, but really cooked on the outside. I actually am more for these that have been mashed down flat, where it's cooked all the way through pretty regular. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Cheese on it. What about Polish cannonballs, Beaver?
Give me that again.
All right.
What is this?
This is at a Pirates game. Okay. These are fried balls full of egg noodles, kielbasa, cabbage, bacon, and cheddar cheese. And it looks like they're dipping them. It's some sort of white sauce, so it's either ranch or like a horseradish something or another. That's what it looks like to me.
See, okay, Matt Wyatt, the problem with all these, I love all these concoctions. All this nonsense-looking stuff. Pile it all on there. But the problem is, let's say you get it in the first inning. Dude, you eat this stuff and you've got to sit there in most likely the heat for 2.5 hours after. Mm-hmm. That's not the ideal place to eat such heavy things. But it all looks so awesome. I want it.
It does. I mean, especially when you're hungry, you look at these pictures, you're like, oh, I'd try it. This Daddy Mac dog at an Astros game, it's a foot-long ballpark hot dog topped with brisket, mac and cheese, fried pickles, and barbecue sauce all over it. I mean, just imagine eating that whole thing. Like, I cannot even imagine eating the whole thing. I really can't. That'll wrap it up for today. Happy opening day, everybody. And I flipped my money over from the acronym to this FanDuel deal. So I'm on a 7-day free trial. I'm going to see if it works watching the Braves. And if it does, I'm in. I'm back in. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here in the Bureau. See you tomorrow.